Hi, Mercedes here, and today we're going to talk about all the steps that you're going to need to do to make the consumer feel comfortable in your retail environment when you open up after the COVID-19, let's say hibernation, vacation, whatever you want to call it. But now we have to really understand the consumer's behavior and how they're feeling and what they expect from retail. One of the things that they expect that it's a clean, safe environment, an environment where they feel welcomed. So let's talk about the two personalities that are really emerging after all of this. The first one I call the daredevil. They're the ones going out to, hospitals not wearing a mask. And then we have Chicken Little, who is really cautious about what's going on. And God bless the contamophobes and the hypochondriacs, because we have learned so much from them in the last couple of weeks. So we have to be very careful that we don't alienate our customers when they first come in. Like if they see you wearing a hazmat suit and spraying down everybody that walks in, maybe that's not such a friendly environment. But we do have to address a protocol. We do have to address safety concerns. I mean, these are really serious times. But when they come into our space, we want them to kind of disappear from their worries. We want this to be a welcoming space. So I know I'm kind of contradicting myself, especially when I'm telling you all the things that you need to do. And one of them is insist. And I know a lot of states now have mandated that wearing a mask is optional. It's not optional. If the person comes into your store and doesn't want to wear a mask, you can very politely ask them to come back another time, that you're not prepared, the people that are in your shop are not prepared for people that don't feel like it's important to wear a mask. So let's talk about masks, because there's actually three types that I want you to think about. The first one, I just want you to have handy, especially when people first walk in, a disposable mask. Now, you buy them in bulk. I do have resources, so if you want to message me, I will give them to you. You buy them in bulk, and then I individually seal them and I put them right by the door. So as people walk in, there's a hand sanitizer, part of the new protocol. I welcome people to go ahead and, clean their hands and pick up a mask if they're not wearing one. The second type of mask is one that could be a gift for purchase, and it's fairly inexpensive, and I kind of like them. They're like these ninja masks, and they're very practical, and you can wash them and reuse them. And I feel like you could set a dollar value, but maybe in the beginning, just with every purchase, it's a gift with purchase. And then the third type of mask that you're going to have is what I call the fashion mask. As you can see, this one matches my outfit today. And, there's going to be some shaming of you selling masks. And there's been a lot of that I've been noticing on social media, where people will be like, oh, you should be donating them, you should be giving them to, essential workers. We are essential workers that have to pay the rent. So there has to be a polite way, a customer service friendly way that you're going to be able to address that. And then there's actually a fourth mask. I mocked one up. This is my store bag. It's a community bag with all the little towns in upstate New York where my store is located. And I've mocked up, and the factory's working on getting me one to match my bag. So this again is going to be like a gift for purchase. It's something that really spreads community, and that's really what we need right now, is keeping a sense of community. So when people walk into the store, the first thing they're actually going to encounter is a step mat. It could be very, very easily done with one of those boot protector liners, the ones that you wear to put your galoshes at home so you don't track snow into the house or rain into the house. And you would just put a simple little towel that's soaked every day in a disinfection solution. So personally, I absolutely despise Fabuloso, so I would stay away from that. But if you have like a pine sol or something lemon scented, something that's even kind of nostalgic smelling, something that you remember from your childhood, is going to really be a winner. So when they come in, the other option that you can have, if they don't want to step onto the mat, is you could have a spray bottle with alcohol, where they could just spray the bottoms of their feet before they come in. Now, why is this a big deal? All of these studies have shown that a lot of germs and just environmental factors that you don't want in your environment are coming in from the outside. So I don't want to get too technical or gross, but it is a protocol, and I feel once again that people in your store will see that you're taking the extra step that may or may not be mandated in your area. The next thing is literally everywhere in the store and waste cans. And the reason why you want to do that is because For a long time now, they've been telling us to sneeze into your elbows. I absolutely find that disgusting. So the idea is that if there's boxes of tissues everywhere and step cans where they step on it and you dispose of the tissue, then again, it gives you a sense of hygiene and safety in your store. And that's what you want to do. You want to separate yourself from the other people, and that's another step of doing that. The other thing is it's also allergy season and people are super paranoid. So it's a good value added, customer service friendly wow factor that you're giving your customers. The next thing is, and this is really funny because I had this argument with my husband who kind of does this for a living, buying air purifiers for your store. And the interesting thing is that, you'll hear a lot of conversation about how they absolutely do nothing. You can't actually purify unless you have like this HEPA, super expensive kind of model. But the idea is that they see two of them in a retail environment. Once again, you're going to add that additional level of comfort that they could take a deep breath and it's going to be okay. And they can, once again, find that normalcy that has been missing for so long in their lives. So I feel like that's an important element to add too. The other thing is we have to do a lot of training with our salespeople in hygiene. So for example, little things like, when you're wrapping up your package, you're sending it out to somebody or somebody's waiting at the cash wrap and you're wrapping it up. How many times has somebody done this to grab the tissue paper? They lick their finger and grab the tissue. That has to be out. No more of that. We can't afford to do that. The other step that we have to train them in is proper cleaning of the clothes that's been tried on, the dressing rooms and the bathrooms. So I suggest, and then again, you could take bits of what I'm telling you and adapt it to your own retail environment and to the consumer's mindset. But for me, I feel like everything that's going to come out of the dressing room is going to go on a separate rack. We're going to use a commercial steamer. I hope that you have one of these. And if you do, then you know that it will burn you if you don't use it correctly. So you want to steam the clothes and then possibly hang them in a back rack overnight before you put them back out into the store. Same thing goes with returns. When somebody returns something, it has to go through the same step and the same protocol. So let's talk about returns for a second. A lot of people may have come in the beginning of February to your shop, bought something, had whatever reason to return it, but haven't been able to because they've been, on lockdown at home. So you're really going to have to be more flexible with your return policies and even offer cash back during this crisis. And I just want to say, in general, you should be more relaxed about your return policies because people may not feel comfortable trying on in your store anymore. So they might ask you like, hey Mercedes, is it okay if I take this home and I won't be back in the area for another 2 weeks? Is it okay to return it? Absolutely, it's okay to return it. We have to really be flexible. And again, I'm telling you all these things because we have to be competitive against the department stores and the national chains that the minute that they open are going to start dumping goods. I mean, Gap hasn't even opened and they're already running a 75% off sale. We cannot afford to do that. So the idea is that we offer them something else. So think about Black Friday. When we open up, you're going to have to make the determination if the merchandise has already been seen in January and February and you're in a warm weather climate, you might have to mark down that fall aggressively. And I don't mean 10%. I'm saying 50, 60, 70%, because at this point, it's not a matter of money being lost. It's a matter of getting that money and turning over your cash flow quickly so that you can buy into the spring or the summer goods that you weren't able to do because you have your orders on hold. And that way, you have to really calculate all of your sales going forward month by month. So this is a buying advice. You really need to analyze your buying, what's happening in the market, what the opportunities are, because if the department stores are canceling orders and the vendors have a lot of goods, they're also offering incentives. You might start with them at full price and get a very high markup, 3 or 4 time markup, which is going to balance all the losses that we've had up until this point. So I just want to go over that one more time. You want to be able to buy every single month. You want to buy aggressively discounted goods and ask for it. Nobody's going to tell you, hey, we're discounting this week. No, you have to say, listen, can I have this? I'm taking that and I'm doing this. Or I push back my orders, but I'm willing to take some of it back now. What can you do for me? That is a very simple and clear question that you can ask your vendors. When it comes to sales training too, I'm going to add one more layer to that. You have to train your salespeople in UPTs, units per transaction. So you're going to have less people coming in. So my feeling is that once we open our doors, the floodgates are not going to open and people are going to storm into your store, and you're going to have to set a protocol, which this is the one that we've set. For every 10 square feet of selling space, it's enough space, 6 feet both ways or 4 ways, for people to feel comfortable in your store. So that means if you have 1,000 square feet of selling space, not the dressing room, not the bathroom, not the stock room, not any place where you can't sell from, you can have 10 people safely in your store. So that also means part of the protocol is if you have the ability to put outside seating, and I don't care if it's even like a folding chair, something where people could just sit down, relax, while they wait for the influx of people that were inside the store to come out, that's also going to be to your benefit. So the UPTs are going to be really important because less people are coming in. So that means that the less people that come in, the more you have to sell each person, and hopefully the higher margin you can sell to each person. So a normal UPT is 3 pieces. So that means that you're selling a dress with 2 accessories, or a top and a bottom and an accessory. So once you start getting to 4, 5, 6, once you start wardrobing, once you start building outfits and meet a desire for end use, you're going to find that those are really good salespeople. Those are not just clerks, those are not just stylists, these are professional salespeople. And all of this takes training and practice and a little bit of attitude too, I have to say. So you want to train them in the hygiene, you want to train them in UPTs, and you definitely want to be buying margin builders. So, okay, let's go to the next one. So I have a lot to say here. I just want to stay on point. Checkout. You want to make it as touchless as possible. So that just might mean if somebody has to sign, the iPad, say, is it okay if I just sign it for you? I can't believe anybody at this stage right now is going to say no. If they have to enter a PIN code, then you have to deal with that and let them enter the PIN code. But this is another thing we've been doing because they're very expensive and they're hard to find, our disinfecting wipes. So we've just been taking everyday facial cleaner. These are actually ones that we sell here at the store from the K-Town beauty brands. And what we've been doing is dumping alcohol into them, mixing it up a little bit, and we have antiseptic wipes. So, and it's very inexpensive and much easier to do and obviously easier to find. So we wipe everything down after each customer and, we hand them their bags. The dressing rooms also have to be steamed, especially if you have curtain dressing rooms, and they have to be sprayed down every single day. And if you have an influx of people coming constantly, it might be the routine to do it 2 and 3 times a day. A couple of things that we've been doing that are just going to be the new normal, and we have to keep them going for a while now. Private shopping hours, teleshopping, curbside pickup, drop-offs, and free shipping. These are things that are not going to go away. It's also going to keep us competitive because at the end of the day, people are not necessarily money poor, they're time poor. And they're also emotionally strained. So again, you might have a store that sells cocktail dresses or party dresses. What you're selling right now is not a party dress. You're selling hope. You're selling inspiration, aspiration, that one day, very soon, we're going to go to a party, that we're going to dress up, that this is a small designer, limited collection. If she doesn't buy it now, you're not gonna buy it when you need it. So we have to really think about the emotional aspects. We're almost like, and again, people joke about like retail being therapy. It absolutely 100% it is. So that's another thing. When people come in, it is so important for you not to, and trust me, I'm retailing in a small town, not to get involved with local gossip. Who got sick, who did this, who shamed who. You don't want to get involved with that. When people come in, it's only rainbows and unicorns in your store. It's a happy place. It is the Disney World of retailing. That's who you have to be. So no gossiping, no negative Nellies, no the world is ending, and most importantly, no politics. So let's just talk about that for a second, because in the fall, we have the triple threat happening. We have an election year where people usually just freak out and don't buy anything or expect all of these discounts. We're also going to have an hiccup again in virus, and we're going to get a second wave of people getting sick. Now, I'm not a medical doctor, I don't play one on TV even, but it is the natural cycle of flu viruses. And from what I've been reading from the CDC and from the WHO, it is expected that around October, November, right around election time, that there's going to be this spike again. And those Chicken Littles are gonna hide under their beds again, and the daredevils are gonna do ridiculous things that's gonna upset everybody, but we can't be political about it. And the third thing is, and this is the one that really scares me the most, is that there is going to be a terrific economic crash. And it's just been predicted for so long. And when we take all of the wheels and the perfect storm that's happening, and the fact that gas prices or oil prices are negative, all of this has a factor that's going to keep building up. And unfortunately, it's all going to be around this fall time. Now, where there's a yin, there's a yang. Where there's chaos, there's opportunity. There absolutely is. And that's why keeping our heads on, being sure, being steady, being frugal, being very, very meticulous about our buys. Now, let's talk about the buys. You cannot buy boring. Boring is not going to sell. Boring, everybody is going to be giving away. The department stores, the chains, everybody is going to be sure and steady. And you know what? Sure and steady is not what people want. When people are scared and depressed and sad, besides drinking, they go shopping. And you have to give them a reason to buy something new. A white t-shirt, a boring black dress, that is not the wow factor. They want to put something on to make themselves feel good, to make themselves feel, I want to say wanted. Something that there's a desire that we can't fit into a demographics. It's just human nature. And that's who we have to kind of think about. Why do we buy the things that we know we can't afford? That doesn't fit into a demographic. We are talking about an emotional lifeline. So when you have something really just gorgeous, that's limited, that's small, that is from an emerging designer, that is specific to your store, that is local, that's going to be a very, very big deal and a selling point too. I also want to address something else that, while I hate to even think of this as another factor in purchasing, there is already a big backlash that I'm seeing from the consumer with Chinese-made products. When you look on Instagram, all of these things that they're selling you, by the way, have you noticed that on Instagram and Facebook, for every one personal feed, there's 3 commercials now? It's ridiculous. Everybody's really flooding the online business. And what I'm finding is that when you read, if there's a dress or something, the first thing people will start to ask is it made in China? So people are worried about things that are made in China. People are really worried about how this spreads, the secretness of it, and the fact that you don't have symptoms when you're spreading it. Which now brings me to another category that I'm worried about too. The thrift market and the vintage clothing. I feel that if you're not on Instagram showing people how you're Lysoling the death out of it and using your steamer until you're practically cooking the clothes, they're not going to be comfortable in wearing it. And it's funny because I've done a lot of work in Africa, and I remember when they get used clothing as donations, people would say it's dead people clothes. So can you imagine now if that's the mentality, dead people clothes that I'm buying for $1? And here's the other thing too, usually people buy thrift, not only for the vintage aesthetics of it, which I think is fantastic, but they're also buying it because they're thrifty shoppers. But when the department stores are giving stuff away, you don't need to be a thrifty shopper at the thrift shop. Oh my God, that was a tongue twister. You're buying it already so cheap from the department stores. So we have to be really careful about how we signal the emotional triggers that people might have about that and how we address them, because they are very, very real. Let's see, what else did I want to talk to you about today? Trends. So besides the matchy-matchy masks, which I feel like, especially if you're have a nice relationship with some of your brands, you should be asking for them. There's a couple of more things too. Have you noticed that when you wear a mask, the one thing that really pops out on your face is your eyes? So I love the idea, especially when we first open up, to get the local brow master or eyelash extender person that you might know who may not be able to open yet. And of course, you're going to have to set some safety protocols. They have to wear the full face shield. The customer has to wear a full mask so that they could do the eyes and the brows. But I feel like that value added, that kind of fun, maybe put them in a back office or maybe one of the dressing rooms if you can afford the space to do that. I feel that that's going to be a fun attraction to get people to come into the store too. The other thing that I feel is a really important trend and a nice like add-on, so to get those UPTs up, is long wear lipstick or lip stains. Because that's the other thing, you notice every time you put your mask on, it just rubs off all your lipstick, and it also stains the mask that you're wearing. So these are just like little things that I feel like we could add on that's a little bit of a wow factor. The other thing I really love to see is like, I've been wearing my masks, right? And then what do? I shove them in my pocket. And if you think about it, that's kind of gross too. So even if you can find or have made some pouches to fold them up and put them in, maybe with the vinyl liners in the inside, like they do for the swimwear or for like the underwear, and even outfits that have an extra pocket for the mask. So all of those trends are really going to come out. I just wanted to go over one more tiny thing. So it's really going to be up to you how you're going to address pricing when you first reopen. If you have spring goods that nobody saw, if you have summer goods that nobody saw, my advice is not to mark them down. You're going to be competitive with the service that you're giving, and the retail environment that you're providing to your customers. That's what's going to make them shop in your store. If you have merchant that they have seen, or for example, you're in a warm weather climate, like you might be in Florida or parts of Texas or even California, you might have to aggressively, and I know it's painful, but please do not even be tempted to put it in the back storage room because nobody saw it and then bring it back out next year, because you're going to need that money. You're going to need that money to turn it over and to move forward, with your buys of things that are going to work. One more thing I want to address are trade shows. So I know that there's a lot of talk in the industry about how there are going to be trade shows back in New York at the Javits Center for fall. There might be. I doubt it very much. I doubt that they're going to break down the Javits Center where they spent like gazillions of dollars to build into a hospital. I think they're probably going to keep it open into the fall for the second hiccup. Even though it hasn't been maxed out in capacity, thank God for that we've been very fortunate that people have actually been very careful in New York City. But I still feel that nobody's going to come because of the PR, the marketing, and everything else that's going on in the news with New York. So I feel like New York is going to be out. I feel Las Vegas is going to be out because who's going to be in a crowded convention center with recirculated air everywhere? And plus, how do we get to Las Vegas? We have to fly there. So I feel like all of those factors, people are just going to wait until next fall, 2021, to maybe start going back to those markets. Los Angeles is another hotspot. I have my feelings about it, but because Los Angeles is building based and not, convention centered based, I feel that a lot of the buyers might want to make appointments, early, off hours, maybe on the weekends, maybe after hours, when the showrooms are mostly quiet. You're going to have to get your step-ins because we're going to go up and down the steps and not use the elevators. So we have to think about all of those little niches that are available for opportunity. I do think that the big markets are probably going to be Dallas and Atlanta. Again, just for convenience sake and safety sake. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of the buying is going to be done again through relationships and most importantly through road reps. About the reps coming on the road and visiting you and seeing the product. What I don't advise, and I've never advised, is for you to buy online. You have to touch and feel the product. The exception would be if you have an extraordinary relationship with your salesperson that you can trust that new product is going to come in the way that you're seeing it on video, the way that you're seeing it in the pictures, the way that it looks in the lookbooks. So buying is going to go very old-fashioned again. With the visitations and more appointment-based instead of trade show-based. But I do feel, and I really, if you take away one whole thing from this, is that if you are running a legitimate business and not a hobby, this is an amazing opportunity to grow, because so many of the weaker stores that are hobbies are going to fall. So a lot of competition is going to drop off the market. The department stores who have been running bad businesses for years, and instead of being this long, painful death, are going to die quickly. So it is going to hurt the industry, but this new influx of smart retailers, of merchants, of beautiful product, of well-designed product, of things just make your heart happy are going to be the future of retailing, and you're going to be part of it. My name is Mercedes. I hope you enjoyed this. Please give us a like. Please share it. It's really important. And please also consider taking my masterclass. More than ever, it is really important to get to the fundamentals, to get to the math, to understand the business. And until May 15, I am also offering a full free year of unlimited coaching after you've taken the class. So thank you for your time and stay well.